Welcome to RPG Power Hour. This is episode 4. This is also being filmed on May the 4th. Be with you. We haven't done one of these in a little bit, and I've been meaning to. I know the premise is that we normally are going to have guests on here. I'm going to do that very soon. In fact, the next episode will have a guest. I'm working on a couple. I intended for this to be an episode with my wife because we are playing in a home campaign together now, and we just wrapped up a home campaign. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But she couldn't come on this time, so we've been trying to make it work, and it just hasn't worked out. So the first thing I want to talk about, though, is there are some amazing TV shows that I have been enjoying lately. I'm sure most of you have too. If you feel like discussing it in the comments, that's fine. If you're going to give up some spoilers, that is fine as well. I'm going to put a timestamp right here, so if you have not seen these shows and you don't want spoilers, you can jump ahead. The two shows are X-Men 97 and Fallout. So if you want to jump ahead now to the next part where we're talking about some of the new purchases we've made that are going to help with the channel and some games and things like that, you can jump to there, or you could jump all the way down to the discussions about different campaigns and things that we are currently playing and running, and some of the campaigns we just wrapped up. So go ahead, jump ahead now. All right, so X-Men 97. This show has been fantastic. Now, you can tell from my shirt, I'm a big X-Men guy. The original series in the 90s, I grew up on. It was my favorite cartoon growing up. Even as an adult, I've watched all of them back. When Netflix was doing discs, I remember getting all of them on there and watching them, and making my wife watch some of them. I've went through and rewatched them all on Disney Plus in anticipation of X-Men 97, and now X-Men 97 is out. I want to say 7 episodes are done now, and every episode has been better than the last, it feels like. I didn't know where they were going to go with this series, and when it started, I even thought, oh, maybe it's not a continuation of the old series. However, it kind of is. For the most part, it is. And because of time travel and things like that, they can easily explain pretty much anything that happens, because of the multiverse and stuff, which, the whole MCU is kind of dabbling with that as a whole, which, fantastic. Absolutely love it. But anyways, X-Men 97 really, really hits home from the standpoint of how mutants are being treated by humans, and there's a lot of parallels to the real world now, which I think are great. There's references to 90s technology, such as dial-up internet and things like that in the show. You find out, who Cable's parents are, and you find out, all sorts of stuff. There's a secret romance between an X-Man and Magneto, and throughout this show, they really make it easy for people to simp for Magneto. I'm just saying. I've seen quite a few women online who love Magneto right now in this series, which I think is kind of funny. So yeah, anyways, it's been really good. Looking forward to where they go. I was reading some things today about it. It sounds like they might be going through a couple story arcs and getting into the Age of Apocalypse series. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but it sounds like maybe by the end of season 2 or season 3, it would be into the Age of Apocalypse stories from the comics. Personally, I like the Age of Apocalypse. I had like the action figures when I was a kid. I had some of the comic books. I got when they compiled them into a graphic novel, I had the first or second one. I can't remember which one. And in fact, last year for Christmas, because my son loves graphic novels, we got Caleb a few of the Age of Apocalypse series. I think the only one we don't have is maybe the last one of the graphic novels, but he's got the prelude, the first and second, I think. Maybe the third as well. So, yeah, anyways, really excited about where that's going. And you guys know me. I love superhero RPGs. I've got Mutants and Masterminds, which I've never played. Would still love to play. If you guys are out there and want to DM it, join my Discord and, we can possibly work something out. But Mutants and Masterminds I have. Want to play it one day. Love superheroes RPGs. The Marvel multiversal system that just came out by Matt Forbeck. I have that. Would love to play that. If you are comfortable DMing it, again, join the Discord. Let me know. I also am big. I have Heroes Unlimited by Palladium Books. I personally know how to run that. I've played that a little bit. Would totally be open to running that for people. Most superhero RPGs, when I think of playing it, I'm thinking Marvel. Not, Superman and Batman style games, but more like a little bit morality is gray, more realistic. Marvel is my cup of tea. X-Men especially. I'm cool doing like an Avengers kind of thing, or even street level like Spider-Man kind of stuff. But ultimately the Marvel universe is what I've always liked ever since I was a kid. Always preferred it. So yeah, anyways, would love to play that. And again, if you guys are interested in ever doing that, let me know. Or just want to talk about the shows on Discord. I'm always down to talk about these TV shows. The other TV show I've been watching lately that we just wrapped up is Fallout on Amazon Prime. And it's fantastic. So before getting into too much about the show, I played New Vegas briefly. Didn't get too far, did a little bit on there, and enjoyed it. A few years back when we moved across state, I was staying with my buddy for a few weeks until we had closed on a house. And when I was staying with him, he was playing through Fallout 4. So I got to watch him play quite a bit and looked awesome. I own Fallout 4. I have not played it yet. In fact, I got it for my birthday this year. My uncle bought it for me on Game Pass. So... or not on Game Pass, on Xbox. So sent me the code and I'm about to start playing. But it is on Game Pass if you guys want to play it. So anyways, I will start dabbling with that probably at some point. Maybe, who knows, maybe I'll jump on to Twitch and stream it a little bit. But yeah, which, if you are not following me on Twitch, you can. I jump on there occasionally and I'll stream some different games. Started streaming WWE 2K24 recently. But anyways, Fallout on Prime is an amazing show. Even if you've never played the games and don't know anything about it, they do a great job of getting you up to speed on things. You're going to miss out, obviously, on Easter eggs and stuff from playing the games, but the show is so good. And the games are good, so there's no surprise there. But the stories they tell you from different characters' perspectives, from my understanding, is how you can play some of the games where you can kind of play more like this character or that character. The main characters are a ghoul, you've got a brotherhood guy, you've got a vault dweller. Those are the main characters, and they're different tiers of morality. You've got the goody two-shoes vault dweller who is straight out of the 50s, kind of like the 1950s, obviously in Fallout. The 1950s is what it's like in 2077 as well. But yeah, and then 200 years later they emerge. The Brotherhood guy is kind of like a survivor of the nuclear war, or the bombs in a specific place that I'm not going to ruin for you guys who have played the games. But there's nuclear bombs that go off, and the one guy survives it, and so he's kind of like your middle of the road morality guy. And then you have the ghoul, who seems like your more chaotic playthrough if you were playing a more chaotic character, and shoot first, ask questions later kind of thing. The ghoul is great. All three characters amazing. Love that they took that approach to taking different viewpoints throughout this, and interweave their stories and stuff. I love it. So Fallout, highly recommend it. I do have the RPG by Modiphius. I have the starter set. I have the core book. I did a flip through many years ago. You can click on that here if you want to go see the core book flip through. I I do think very highly of that game system for if you want to play a game kind of like that in the Fallout universe. Modiphius did a great job. I know not everyone likes the system, but I don't see a huge issue with it. There are some things that are a little crunchier than I would like, but I think they did a great job of capturing the feel of the video game. So I did just recently get the starter set because I'd like to dabble with that and maybe play that a little bit before I actually dive into running a all-out Fallout game. So, but yeah, and then the other thing I did see recently that Jacob Buds from XP to Level 3, he also made his own Fallout system built off of like the core D&D rules, like advantage, disadvantage, just like the base of that. It's not the same as D&D, is my understanding. I did download the PDF recently, but he did a video all about that that you guys can go check out. Something that I also finally got around to watching, this might not resonate with all of you guys, but I grew up on like horror movies and slasher movies and things like that. And recently, my 12-year-old daughter, we kind of started watching certain things with her, right? And as like a family night with me, her, and my wife. And we watched the Saw movies. I know they're totally gory, not meant for 12-year-olds, but our 12-year-old, we felt like she could handle it. Anyways, I had only seen the first 6 movies. We owned all of them. And so we rewatched those. And because I hadn't seen 7th, the 8th one, or the spin-off movie called Spiral, or the last one that just came out like a year or two ago, I was like, you know what, I'll just order these. And I ordered them and watched all of them just to see what I thought. And so anyways, first time seeing the final 4 movies. I like those movies. I know not everybody does, but I like when I'm watching these, I'm thinking, how could you do an RPG campaign around these things? I've actually had so many thoughts about integrating saw traps into an RPG, like whether it's you could do it in a D&D 5e game, like, all right, you guys got to escape the trap, or you could do it with Call of Cthulhu. Like, there's so many different systems I think you could kind of do it in, but you want to. Obviously with 5e you'd have to get rid of like the healing mechanics and things like that, and you'd have to, none of that stuff could apply. But maybe you do it to your adventuring party. Maybe you have this like sick necromancer who is acting like Jigsaw. And so anyways, I've had all these ideas lately. I'm like, these would be kind of interesting. Don't know that I'll ever do anything with it, but that I get a lot of inspiration from movies and cartoons and shows. So yeah, I got those, and I enjoyed those. I'm not going to go into depth on that just because. But also, recently bought a lot of new stuff because I'm getting back into creating content with you guys. I got a Elgato face cam now, which obviously I'm recording this on my phone, but I've got an Elgato face cam now because my old camera was real grainy. I got a new laptop. I've got the new Predator Helios Neo 16. For streaming purposes. It's a really good, it actually works really well for a laptop. I've streamed some stuff on there, had no issues with things slowing down or bogging. My CPU usage is not going through the roof like before. So I'm extremely happy and excited about this. It allows me to do more with streaming. So hopefully I can make my streams look a little better, whether I'm adding more motion to some of the overlays and things like that. But either way, I want it to be a little bit better. I did purchase Into the Borderlands recently by Goodman Games. That is the old module turn, that they redid. They also have the Temple of Elemental Evil and some others. I have Temple of Elemental Evil as well. But anyways, Into the Borderlands is the game we were playing on this channel with Roll Stats and Peter, and we never finished. And so anyways, I want to finish that out somehow, whether that's as a player or maybe I'll DM something. But I did want to get that just because I have played it multiple times. I've never beat it as a player either. I think I've played in 3 or 4 campaigns. that were set in the Borderlands. So that's something that eventually I would like to play through or maybe DM. I also picked up recently Pixel Glory, which is a game I played at Gen Con 50 with Dave from Nerdarchy, his son, Cody. I believe we played with a couple other people. And so anyways, I wanted Pixel Glory for a long time. I finally got it, but I also got Pixel Legends, which I think is a standalone. I haven't really got too into it, but I believe it's standalone. It might just be an expansion. I'm not really sure. But I got both of those. And then I got the Ultimate RPG Campfire cards. It's a deck. It's by the same people who make like the Ultimate RPG Backstory Guide and things like that. And I got this because when playing with a group, maybe they're not role-playing a lot, I feel like it's a great way to get them into role-playing more. So I'm not sure how I'm going to integrate it, but eventually I'd like to use that at the table. Maybe I'll use it in some of my streamed games. And I also picked up recently the Ultimate RPG Game Master's Guide. It's the silver book. Anyways, there's a lot of good stuff in there about game mastering, and there's stuff about Session Zero. And, you know, at this point, I haven't read the whole thing, but I've skimmed the whole thing, read a variety of parts throughout the whole book, and I've started reading from the first cover because I'm just going to read all the way through it. I believe there's going to be a lot of things in that book that are going to inspire me to do videos. Maybe I'll agree with them, disagree with what's in that book, but great book with great advice already. And if you've read any of the other books, you'll know that these are amazing books. So, yeah. Couple other things that have come up. I was sent All Time Wrestling. It's a board game. I guess this is the second edition of it, or they just wrapped a Kickstarter, I should say, and they've got expansions and stuff. But it's a really cool wrestling game. Various modes of play. You can play by yourself. You can play with somebody else. You can do tag teams, different types of matches, and yeah, it's a game that, you know, again, if you followed me for any period of time, you know I love wrestling. I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I've got, you know, various RPG games or wrestling games. So I've got the Wrestling RPG. I've got other wrestling board games. So real excited to dive into this. And I'll probably be doing a video very soon talking about all the different wrestling games I have and my thoughts on each of them for any of you who do like wrestling. So if you want to see that, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. And maybe you've played All Time Wrestling and you like the game. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Another game that I still haven't played yet just because, you know, my kids have been so busy with sports and their other extracurricular activities. Plus, it's been nice again, so we're getting out to the parks more and doing more outside the house. But that's the Little Game Master RPG by my friend Randall Hampton. You know Randall. Randall played in our Kobolds of Avernus campaign. He even did a little bit of art for that. Randall's awesome. He streams doing art. He's done all sorts of things with big content creators in the RPG space, and he's written 2 children's books that I highly recommend. My kids love them, and called The Little Game Master. And now he's got the RPG for kids, which is honestly, so my 5-year-old has been dying to play it. It's perfect for them. It's the perfect game for them. So again, can't recommend that enough. But anyways, still meaning to do another video on that. I know I did an unboxing, which you can see right here. But I do want to do a more in-depth review on it as soon as I play it. But I haven't played it since we play tested it. So in the last few months, we have wrapped up quite a few campaigns. As of last year, I had never truly finished. I think it was last year. Maybe it was 2022. I had never finished a campaign in my over 20 years playing RPGs. I started around 97, 98, I think. And yeah, for over 20 years, hadn't finished a campaign. Since the end of last year, we have wrapped up our Tyranny of Dragons campaign that we had been playing since maybe a year into COVID. Our Kobolds and Avernus campaign, which we started during COVID, like shortly after COVID, actually, that one started right before COVID. And then we also wrapped up recently our Tomb of Annihilation campaign that was not streamed. That's an off-stream game. We finally wrapped that one up. That one had been going on for over 4 years. We started that one in 2019, I think, the year before COVID. And yeah, so we've wrapped up all 3 of those. Those were a big part of my life in the last 3-4 years, 5 years, heck. Tyranny of Dragons is a campaign that when 5e first came out, I ran it for Adventurers League. I ran it for a home group, but I had made it more my own for that. So I like kind of used it, but put it in my homebrew world and was tweaking it. And it led to a lot of stuff in my homebrew world that I'm actually really like proud of, that I kind of segued into. We kind of went off of that. Basically, it just inspired stuff. So Tyranny of Dragons wrapped up. We had a lot of fun with that. The fight with Tiamat was fantastic. And ultimately, I loved that we were able to make 2 of the former player characters villains in that campaign. Had a lot of good memories of that. Between Saul becoming a villain, and we had Chance's characters. He had 2 characters that became villains. Annabelle was one, and Crank, the one who he would like cut people's faces off and wear them because he's a warforged and trying to hide who he was. So really good time wrapping that one up. Kobolds and Avernus was a lot of fun. We had a lot of good role play. The players playing Kobolds, I think, lended itself to a lot of over-the-top like improv and acting, and we had all Kobolds, and then Peter joined late, and Peter played a bugbear lawyer or legal counsel, and just a lot of good laughs in that campaign. But it was fun to finally wrap that up, and the Kobolds kind of were respected as heroes, and so that was a good one. Had a lot of fun with that campaign. That campaign started with as an in-person game with Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, Nate from WASD20, and Luke from the DM Lair, and then my wife, and then myself. And we started just normal characters. I was the DM, and eventually Jake had to quit because he had other things going on, other commitments, and then Luke eventually quit, and then eventually Nate had to drop out. But we still finished the campaign strong with some great players, and yeah, I can't say enough good things about that campaign. Start to finish, I have a lot of good memories of that. So I've noticed, and in talking to people, there are some things I used to do when running modules that were pre-written, and I didn't realize how bad some of it came across, but I've learned from my mistakes. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. As a player, we finished Tomb of Annihilation, and I think I only played three characters in that campaign. Had a lot of fun with that campaign. There were some things that kind of bothered me at times, but I think part of that is because of how I am. So Tomb of Annihilation, I think, is a great campaign. It's a campaign that allows for a lot of different ways to play a campaign. Like, you could do a lot of jungle exploration and stuff like that. But the campaign itself has built-in puzzles and things like that that just don't usually make sense. The way to solve them is just, I don't know. It just isn't my thing. It's not my cup of tea. I don't mind some puzzles. I do think as a DM, you kind of got to plan, not necessarily how to solve them, but like if your party can't figure it out, I almost feel like you have to come up with workarounds. Or if you know your party is not enjoying puzzles and you know that the campaign has 50 more puzzles in it, maybe replace it with other stuff. We, as a group, struggled so much with the puzzles, and the different players would get annoyed with other players, and so we had player issues, not character issues, but player issues at times. And I felt like at a certain point that a lot of the puzzles should have been replaced with like combat encounters and things like that. I know it goes against the nature of the campaign, but ultimately the group wanted to find out how the story wrapped up, but at the same time we were annoyed with the puzzles. So my piece of advice, if you're running a campaign and a party doesn't like something about the campaign, adapt, change it, fix it, find workarounds, whatever you got to do. If things are dragging on and they really want to wrap up a dungeon, find a way to scrap the next 10 rooms to get to move it on. You know, there's just certain things you kind of got to do. I feel like, especially with some of these printed modules, in order to keep it fun for your group. Because not all modules are going to be fun for your group as written. So yeah, it was good to finally end that one. It was nice to kind of add that feather in my cap. We used to play in that game. We played in Tomb of Annihilation with a different DM a few years back, and it never ended. We got to Firefinger, and that campaign ended, and it's unfortunate. But we've talked about that before. And that one, I really had fun in that campaign back then. But yeah, the DM wasn't having fun in that campaign for some reason. With those campaigns ending, we've started some new ones. Now, I've been running the Orcs Arrow Peninsula campaign for my patrons for a little bit. I think we're on episode 8. There's one session left. I would be shocked if it went more than one. They had a huge battle this last time where they basically got wiped out a couple dragons. These dragons were burning down a city. They were fighting an orc army. Like, it was getting crazy. And little clue was unveiled, and yeah, those dragons turned into orcs as they were killed. So the next session, there's one last dragon of the 3 dragon brothers, and yeah, it's in a orc city, and this city is ruled by the dragons. Like, so there were 3 orc cities. They were ruled by, each had its own dragon leader, and all the dragons were brothers. So in this next episode, it's down to the final dragon, really, and the city. So that's where it's at. But if you haven't checked that out, go check out the playlist. That'll be showing up right here, right now for you. That campaign has had, I think it's been a lot of fun. So for me, my homebrew campaigns, I get more excited about than pre-written modules. And I think it's because I'm just more comfortable running that way. So when we met for session 0, I came up with things for each character to, happen throughout the campaign, and, whether it was exploring their backstory more, or the thing that made them who they are, or whatever. I tried to do something for all of them that I could. We had a character that was really interested in ley lines. I used ley lines. We have another character who was strongly tied to a necromancer. Well, we incorporated some of that. One character was a town guard, so originally there were some things they were able to do because of that. So early on, I tried to give them some stuff because I didn't know where else I could go with that. And then I have another character who I let them speak, so they're a treant character, and I gave them some things based on their backstory. So, again, a lot of stuff that I've enjoyed doing that then makes in my opinion, my homebrew world just richer. So we did that. But one session left. I'm not sure what we're going to do after that. I'm sure we'll do some other campaign. I'm not sure if we'll do 5e again, or if we'll explore a different game system. I'm not sure. But that is for my patrons. So if you want to play in a future campaign, head on over to our Patreon, and you can sign up for that patrons game if you want to. Another campaign we just started. We've done basically character creation and and done like one session. And that is Out of the Abyss. Now, I have played in Out of the Abyss before. I've had characters die in Out of the Abyss. This time, I am playing a dwarven bard, a mountain dwarf bard. Now, this mountain dwarf bard, I have not told any of the other players at the table that he's a bard. In fact, I'm letting them think he's a fighter. He's using a warhammer. He's got a shield, but his shield is actually a metal gong, and he just is pretending it's a shield and using it like a shield. And I have certain spells, but I tried not to have like blasty spells. So for example, I have Thunder Wave because I feel like I can kind of role play it in a way that doesn't make him seem like he's magical. He has Thunder Wave. He's got the sleep spell. So my plan for the sleep spell is to cast it in a way, but like do a physical gesture that looks like I'm hitting a character with like my hammer or something, and then doing it like that. I haven't used any spells yet. I haven't used any of my cantrips really yet. I've got things like Disguise Self, so I can make myself look like I'm more intimidating and things like that. But yeah, so anyways, I'm enjoying the ideas that I have for my character. He wants to present like a warrior, not like a bard. I'm not sure which school, maybe like, I don't know. I'm not sure what school yet that I'm going to go with, but I'd like to make him just come across like a powerful warrior. And the longer I can keep it a secret from the rest of the group that he's a bard, the better. So yeah, I'm excited, to see where this campaign goes. I will say, so we had one of my biggest pet peeves happened already in this first session. So we managed to do some things, and in doing some things and getting out of like a jail cell and some other stuff, we did come across a drow priestess, which drow priestesses are very powerful, especially for a first level party. And the spell that they did was like 4d10 damage. And the DM rolled the damage and told them, and then was like, oh, you're dead? And literally just said, well, never mind, you take half damage. And they're like, well, I'm still dead. And they're like, fine, you take 5 damage. They talked, like, they basically didn't even fudge rolls. They just literally said, oh, no, this just didn't happen kind of thing. And I don't like when DMs fudge rolls and they do. Or when they purposely make things weak. Or not weak. That's not the proper term. When they're purposely holding punches, right? That bothers me because it then makes me feel like, how much of this can I trust? Like, I start second guessing things in the campaign, like, well, they clearly fudged that dice roll because that character would have definitely hit harder than that. Like, you start having these doubts, and I don't want to think about that part of the game. I want to roleplay and get lost in it and have fun. And if characters are dropped to 0, fine. Now, afterwards, he asked for feedback, and so I told him, I said, yeah, don't hold your punches. Like, just let the dice do. And he's like, well, I don't want to kill anybody. I'm like, then don't. And I understand in 5e, for example, spells can't be non-lethal, but make it a non-lethal. Like, yeah, let us get TPK'd. And instead of us getting free, you could lock us back up, have the guy who helped us get out originally, have him help us get out again, but this time give us our gear and lead us out and progress the story, since because he had said, well, I just wanted to progress the story at that point, and that was too difficult. And it's like, okay, but you didn't have to do that. You could have done it in this other way, where we're dropped to 0. It's not a TPK. It was non-lethal because they want to keep us alive so that we can continue to work as their slaves. And so get us locked back up. But the guy who wanted to get us out, have him help us get out, and then advance it that way. So to me, that wouldn't feel cheap. It would now feel like, okay, we were meant to see how difficult this is. We need to get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? And so then it would still progress. And I think that would have been the way to handle it. I am not a big proponent for fudging dice rolls. I'm just not. I don't do it. I let the dice results speak for themselves. If a character is dropped to 0 and they die, I will talk to that character, or that player, and say, hey, death doesn't have to be final. This is D&D. It's a make-believe game. You can get resurrected with some, with no flaws added to it. Or, for example, you could get resurrected and be like, okay, every character that gets resurrected, you got like a quirk about you now or something. You could do something fun with it. But the point is, just talk to the player. Ask them. Maybe now they take a level dip in Warlock, which I've done before. I've had players take a level dip Warlock, so now they're brought back to life, but now they have a patron as well. Maybe they're God. Maybe they have a chance encounter with their God, and their God's like, your story's not finished, and brings them back to life. Um, so there's different things you can do. But to me, I've never looked at D&D 5, D&D in general, or any RPG, and said, well, death has to be final. Like, it doesn't, especially in Dungeons and Dragons. There's so many ways to continue the story and get that character back, even if they were at 0. Like, whether it's the party being able to rescue them from the Underdark, or not the Underdark, from Avernus or something. You can come up with some fun ways to keep it going, that if your group's about story, these things work. If they're just trying to game it and beat the game and beat the module, that's a little different. But I personally like leaving it open like that. So that was my big pet peeve. But the other thing, so this goes back to what I said earlier about when I ran campaigns. So I know when I ran into Avernus, Baldur's Gate into Avernus, there were things that I would mess up or do different than the book, and I felt guilty about it as the DM, and so I would mention things that I messed up after the sessions, not realizing how it came across. When we were playing Out of the Abyss in that one session, afterwards, after I had pointed out the one thing, the DM did the same thing that I used to do, and it clicked for me exactly why I never should have done that. And my wife told me at times, she's like, we don't need to hear that. Don't tell us that. Some of the other guys were like, we don't know that things are messed up. Don't tell it. Like Luke, I think, said it, and I think Nate did, Jake did. And I still kept doing it. And now that I know how it comes across, it's not good. I wish I never did that. But I've now seen it from that other side. So, moral of the story, if you're running a campaign and it's a pre-written module, or even your own stuff, and say you do make a mistake, say you forgot someone's ability, say you forgot to do something with a certain monster, or you decided not to run something by the book, the players don't need to know. It is one of those things that's better kept to yourself, and it's something I wish I did more of. Unfortunately, I'm learning this now after 27, 28 years playing RPGs, and it's something I wish I did a lot sooner. Wish I didn't tell people I messed up. So that's my big takeaway from all of these things that I guess I just never realized. So that's one of the nice things about this hobby, is as you play more and you run games more and you see how other people run it, I think you learn a lot. My play style has changed over the years. Things I'm into have changed a lot. How I run games, how I play games, all of it has changed, and I think for the better. As a player recently, I've struggled a little bit to get into characters. As a DM, I do a little bit better, I think, of that. But as a player, I've struggled really finding the depth of some of my characters lately. So that's something I'm working on getting better at. And I think, that was part of why I wanted this Dwarven Bard, so that I could role play certain aspects and keep things a little bit more close to the vest. And that's not something I've done a lot. Usually I'll be very loud as a character. Everyone usually knows a lot about my character quickly and how I'm going to play the character and things like that. And right now, I love the fact that people don't know how I'm going to play that character. But yeah, so that's the beauty of this hobby, though. It's just this constant evolution, getting better and changing how you play and run games. And, I am looking forward to giving you guys some more videos about specific things, like how I prep, and maybe I'll do a video about my bard and how I'm planning on role playing certain things, and give you examples from the game. Maybe I'll give you some of that behind the scenes for that character, if you want to see that kind of stuff. Still planning on getting some more reviews out to you guys, and all that good stuff. If you're not part of it yet, go sign up for my newsletter. You can find it over on my website. we're fast approaching, I think, 1,000 people signed up. And right now I'm not currently sending anything out, but I do plan on doing some probably weekly things that I'm going to send out here, hopefully in the next couple months. Got some big things planned. Some of my own, created content for my patrons. I'm going to get some of that stuff out to you guys, whether it's roll tables, maybe a one-page RPG, one-page adventures. If you like that kind of stuff, let me know. I love the idea of giving you guys like one-page adventures, stuff that you can plug into your games. And that'll be made available for patrons first, obviously. But yeah, a lot of good stuff going on. I'm very excited about it, and I hope you guys are. Next time we do this, I will have a guest. There's a couple people I have in mind. We're probably going to talk about different things going on in the industry and, how to improve some of these things. Don't want to give away too many details yet until I confirm the guest, but that is the idea for the next episode. I hope you guys subscribe, tune in for that, and we will see you guys in the next one. Game on.